All right, this debate shows exactly why I respect Coolie. He's direct, logical, and he actually stands on principles, not emotions. The person he's debating keeps trying to twist equality into sameness, but Coolie's point is simple. Men and women aren't interchangeable, and pretending they are is why relationships keep breaking down. Let's get into it, because this debate exposes more truth than most people are comfortable admitting.
You know what? I'll go ahead and grant your definition, and sure. I will disprove how it's not even equal under your definition.
Okay, so my definition is the same in terms of importance or weight in the relationship. That's my definition. So weight meaning like if one person slacks off or messes up, it's equally as bad when each party does so. So I gave an example in terms of children. If a wife is a bad caretaker of the children when they're younger, those children will have developmental issues and they will not be successful. If a husband is a bad father to his children, he's distant, he does not chisel them, he does not mold them, those children will be spoiled and not ready to take on the real world. In both cases, both parents are equally important to the children. If one messes up, it is equally as bad as if the other messes up. In terms of cheating, if the husband cheats, it's just as bad as if the wife cheats. They may cheat in different ways, but it's equally detrimental to the marriage and the family. I guess in the most simple terms, if you want to say in terms of weight, we could also say in terms of power. Both the husband and the wife have equal power to mess each other's lives up and ruin the marriage. And so therefore, I would say it is equal.
See, what you said makes no sense at all. Having the power to mess something up doesn't make two roles equal. A child and a parent both have the power to destroy a family dynamic. Does that make their roles equal? Same thing in a company. An employee can make one bad decision and ruin the whole business, but that doesn't put them on the same level as the CEO. She's confusing impact with authority. By that logic, if I knock over a chessboard, I'm suddenly equal to the grandmaster. That's not equality. That's delusion.
Okay, so if it's the case that you would say that the man duties is to protect and to provide, the man stops doing his duty. How is this equal to if the woman stops doing her duty? And I would say that, and let me know if you agree, the woman's duty is nurturing, caretaking, and being submissive to the man.
Correct. Yeah, there are other things, but we can say those are the main things. Sure.
Okay. So how is that? So if it's the case that the man stops doing his duty, which is to, let's just say, protect. He's not protecting his family. Someone could come and just kill his family. How is that equal to the woman not doing her nurturing duty?
Well,
death or, I'm not going to love my kids like that.
Well, it is actually equally important. And I think you could even argue that the woman's role
No, it's not.
Well, let me make my point.
Okay.
If the woman does not nurture the children are, first of all, the point of the marriage, right? The whole point is to get married and to raise children through a marriage, to have children and raise them and educate them. So the children are the most precious thing to both parties. They are the most precious object.
But so how is it equal if the man isn't there to protect and there isn't any children or the wife because the man isn't there to protect?
Exactly. Protection isn't symbolic, it's literal. If the man fails, the family's existence is at risk. Whereas if the woman fails, the family's quality is affected. One is about survival, the other is about comfort. Emotional damage can be rebuilt. Life cannot. And this is where a lot of people get it wrong. They measure importance by sentiment, not consequence.
Let me just finish my point. Okay, so he doesn't protect them. Okay, so they are vulnerable to outside sources. The mother doesn't nurture them. The children are autistic, developmentally stunted, not able to succeed. Their quality of life is going to be incredibly impacted by that.
When you say
Severely.
importance, do you mean
Severely.
I look at importance as like a priority. Like, so when you say like,
Those children may grow up to commit suicide, so he's not protecting them. They may die. She doesn't nurture them. They may commit suicide. You could see it that way. That's the extreme of both
but
examples.
Grace, that wouldn't be
Extreme.
equal. That wouldn't be equal and important. That would actually totally dismantle your entire definition of equal. It wouldn't be equal in importance, because what would be more important is if the man protected the family so they can breathe and live another day. It doesn't matter, like, okay, protection from death, or you look at the mother, well, I'm not gonna, submit to the man, and I'm not going to nurture the children, but you can still live. If you're not submitting to the man, you can still live if you're not nurturing the children. Those duties are not as important as the man's duty. So when you look at importance, I look at priority, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Then when you go to your value, this is what I'm saying. Some of these questions is going to be hard for you to actually answer under your definition.
Hard for me to answer.
Well, it is, because you didn't give a good answer at all. But then when you look at the value, Then when you look at the value of the man and a woman's duties, it's valued differently, because if the man isn't doing his duty, which is to protect and to provide, what are the children and the woman eating? How are the children and the woman staying safe from bad, negative outside influences or physical influences that can, take their life?
I understand what you're saying. And of course, it's a problem if your life is vulnerable to outside attacks. First of all, if a man doesn't protect, if he fails to defend his wife and kids, they may not get attacked in the first place. Whereas motherly love is crucial to the development.
It's a hypothetical.
Of every human being. But let's just say hypothetically. Okay, so you're saying that just being alive is more important than your quality of life. I would argue those are equivalent. It is just as important to be healthy.
No. If you're a Christian, you don't believe that to be true, Grace.
It is just as important for those children. Let me just make my point. It is just as important for those children to be healthy and to be developed with nurture and love. Otherwise, they will fail miserably at life, as it is for them to be defended from outside attacks. That is clearly true. And I think you could even argue that it's more important for the mother to nurture them. Although I wouldn't argue that. I'd say they're equal.
Okay. So, one, what you said in regards to, negative circumstances and suffering is equal to death. If you're a Christian, this is untrue, because there's many passages in the Bible that goes against this. It even says things like, if your mother and your father forsaken you, I would be there for you, right? So even if the worst circumstances, if your mother and your father forsaken you, you can still find Christ. Christ is still going to be with you. So that debunks your entire argument from what you just said, Grace. That doesn't adhere to Christian ethics at all.
The quote that you just gave actually proves my argument. If your mother and father forsake you. So once again, they're being equivocated. It doesn't say, if your father forsakes you, come to me. But if your mother forsakes you, well, it's not that big of a deal. It says mother and father. So that actually proves my point.
No, it doesn't, Grace.
No, it doesn't prove anything. And I love that Coolie brings faith into it. Christianity actually ranks duties. The man's role to protect and lead comes first. It's covenantal. You can't twist scripture to make both roles identical. He's quoting Psalm 27:10. Though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. The point isn't that their failures are equal, it's that both can fail. Survival and well-being ultimately come from God, not just the parents. Cooley's argument is about consequence, not emotional inclusion. The father's role is literally life or death. The mother's role is crucial, but if the father fails, survival itself is at risk. The scripture itself lays out the order. She's totally missing the point.
I'll explain how it doesn't prove your point, because your point is that I made a clear distinction between, the father's role of protecting and providing is not equal to the mother's role of nurturing and being submissive and taking care of the children.
This is the crux of the argument.
Oh, got it. So let me finish, Grace. I'll let you speak.
Yeah,
Let me finish.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I made a clear distinction between the two. And under your definition of equal, because I'm granting your definition, so I'm doing an internal critique on your definition. You said that it's the same, it's equal because it's the same importance, it's the same value, and it holds the same weight. Correct. It does not hold the same weight. And you saying, and when I brung up the hypothetical, well, if the man stops doing his duty, then that is not the same as if the woman stops doing her duty. The children, the husband, and the woman does not die if the woman isn't nurturing and being submissive. That does not happen. But if the man stops doing his duty, if it's the case that death is, danger is, in the vicinity, then that would happen. You get what I'm saying? Then
I understand that.
Children
I would just like
and
to make a very quick
the children and the mother can die. So then you said that, well, suffering and death is equal. That's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. Because if suffering and death was equal, then if you're suffering, then you might as well die. Why is there many verses in the Bible that says that even if you're suffering, God is there for you? You're
giving an extreme example. Most of the time, if a man
to show that your logic isn't consistent when it comes to your definition of things being equal.
My logic is consistent.
No, it isn't.
Hold on, let me make this point. Okay,
sure,
you want to talk about death in life. Okay, if a mother is not nurturing to her baby, it will die. So there's my counter.
Nurturing in what way?
Mother does not nurture her child, does not give it face-to-face contact, does not give it skin-to-skin contact, does not love it. There have been studies on this. The baby will die. So if you want to take extreme examples, if the father doesn't protect the children,
what about when mothers just give their baby up for adoption?
Nurture.
What about when mothers just give their baby up for adoption? Does the baby die? That doesn't make any sense.
That's a different argument.
That's not a different argument. You just said that if the mother, you just said that if the mother does not nurture and take care of the baby and give skin-to-skin contact and eye-to-eye contact and all of this stuff, then the baby dies. There's many women that just give their children up for adoption and the children don't die. They do this at birth. Once the baby pop out, get this little nigga away. I don't want him no more. So what are you speaking about?
Okay,
if that's the case, then all of these babies would be dying.
Her whole argument just falls apart. She's out here citing these so-called studies she clearly made up, thinking no one would notice. It's ridiculous. Kids get given up all the time, and they survive, grow, and thrive. Neglect doesn't equal death. Coolie just straight up demolished that point. And it's backed by research, too. The English and Romanian adoptees study, Harvard, Oxford, JAMA Pediatrics, all show that with the right care, kids can recover and do just fine. So the opposite of what she's saying is true. Neglect doesn't kill, but protective care, exactly what Coolie's talking about, can literally be the difference between life and death.
Stupid point, because
adoption clinics.
A husband can give his wife and kids to someone else or to the welfare system and they won't die. Okay, it's not the same.
That refutes your argument. Then it was a dumb argument, Grace.
So then neither of them are that important, but both of them are obviously important. Also, if you want to speak about nurturing, okay, if a woman gets pregnant and she's not nurturing, she'll abort the child. She'll kill the child, right? 1/3 of my generation.
Like nurturing, like what? What do you mean?
Let me make this point. 1/3 of my generation is dead from unnurturing mothers killing us in the womb. So they are equally important.
Oh, now she's switching to abortion? Of course she is. When the logic collapses, just pull out a whole new topic.
They are equally of equal weight.
Okay, so you're saying that abortion you're speaking about. You're saying abortion, those women weren't, they weren't being nurturing.
I would say an abortion is the opposite of a nurturing mother, yes.
Okay, got it. So, I would agree that abortion is the opposite of a nurturing mother. But as far as nurturing itself and the duties that nurturing has within it, the mother can't even do the bulk of those duties until the baby is born anyway. So
that is completely untrue. That is not true. If a woman doesn't care about herself or her body or that child when it's in the womb, she can kill it, she can poison it, she can give it defects, she can drink alcohol, she can do drugs. If she's not nurturing of that baby, she can up for life in the womb, and she
Yeah.
had total control over that. So you want to
Yeah,
tell me women don't have the same, being nurturing is not important for human life?
No, that's not what I said. I made a clear distinction.
Aborted fetuses in the garbage can.
No, I made
We
a
would
clear
have
distinction.
appreciated it if our mothers had been a little more nurturing.
Okay, so now she's mixing up terms. That's not nurturing, that's just pregnancy. She's confusing biology with parenting. Nurturing starts after the baby's born, not in the womb. It's love, care, bonding, all that. What she's describing is gestation. She's trying to sound profound, but it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, I made a clear distinction with the roles and the duties that a mother has to do when the baby is inside the womb and when the baby is outside of the womb, right? So when you're speaking about nurturing and you're trying to make the argument that, once again, you have to prove that how is nurturing equal, like equivalent to the man's duty, right? And I'm saying that if the man doesn't do his duty, there is no wife, there isn't no children. Because if he isn't there to protect them, since the beginning of time, a saber-toothed tiger would just come and eat the baby, and or another tribe would come and take over, would grape the wife and take the baby, or kill off the wife and take whatever it may be. If the father isn't doing his duty, their life is on the line. When the mother isn't doing their duty,
their life is on the line.
The child's life, let me finish. The child's life necessarily, with the baby being outside the womb, the child's life is not on the line. And I'll even take it a step further. If we're speaking to the nature of men and women, if the husband did not want his wife to have an abortion, she wouldn't have the ability to do it because she's not physically stronger than the man. So even if the wife wanted to abort the baby, well, how she's going to go ahead and do it if the man does not allow her to do it from the nature aspect, because she is the weaker vessel. So then if we're moving it, you still need to answer and give me. Yeah, but you haven't really answered the question and showed how it's actually equal if, the man doesn't do his duty, the wife and children die. But if the woman does her duty, the wife and children, they don't die. I'm saying that everything that the wife does, the man can still do when the baby is outside of the womb.
Okay, first of all, that's not true. A man can't breastfeed. And even once the baby is outside of
Similac.
the womb, that's not the same thing. That is really not the same.
The baby would still survive.
It will survive, that's true, but the woman has a huge benefit she can add to the baby. So first of all, I want to clarify.
That's a clear distinction.
Well, real quick,
that's a clear distinction.
Hold
but
on,
even with what you just said, it's a clear
Grace
distinction that it's... Yeah, go ahead, Grace.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're giving me an extreme example. Most of the time, if a man does not defend his wife and children, they won't die. But let's say they do die. Okay, that's an extreme example. On the opposite side,
to prove how it's not equal.
If a woman is not nurturing to her baby inside and outside of the womb, that child can die, and those children do die. And also, if she is not nurturing to the man and children, she can also kill them. So the opposite of a nurturing wife and mother is a mother who poisons her husband and her children, which women can do. So nurturing is just as important as defending.
That's such a ridiculous argument. She's all over the place. She doesn't even realize how faulty her arguments are. We're talking about something that the other isn't really capable of doing as good, and she thinks killing is her strongest point of demonstrating a mother's importance? Men don't even need poison to do that kind of damage. They're physically stronger. They could use their bare hands if they wanted to. It's like she doesn't understand how arguments work. When we talk about a man's protection, we're not talking about his ability to harm. We're talking about his role to prevent harm. Every point she's making either applies equally to both or doesn't make any sense at all. She's just throwing words around hoping something sticks.
The wife poisoned the man and kill him.
I'm saying it's an extreme example. She literally could do that if she was.
Oh,
not
you mean like
nurturing
actually
enough.
like what would? Well, how can she do it void of nurturing? Explain. You're speaking, but you're not demonstrating. How can the woman not nurturing poison the man and kill him?
Okay, so in the Black community, right? Women are not nurturing of their sons. They do not raise their sons up and give them to the father to mold and chisel into good, strong men. They're not nurturing. They alienate their children from their fathers. They're harsh towards their sons. Their sons grow up, become parts of gangs, and get killed. That's one way that non-nurturing can get a child killed. They can commit suicide. They can become drug addicts. They can become, the loneliness epidemic is because of non-nurturing mothers. Okay? Many of the biggest problems that society faces are due to mothers' failures. Abortion, loneliness, suicide, drug addiction. That's because these children did not get the nurturing they needed from their mothers. So it is just as important to receive nurturing from your mother as it is to be protected by your father. 100%.
Then why is it, well, then you have to go with these stats. Then why is it the case that single father households do just as good as two-parent households, and they do better than single mother households, which means that the man can actually do the duties that the mother can do, which is nurturing. Your argument is defeated. Once again, I'll repeat it back to you if you didn't understand. You thought you was cooking, but you wasn't cooking, Grace. You actually made my argument for me. If it's the case that the woman's duty is just as important if she doesn't do the duty as the man if he doesn't do his duty, this isn't true. Because why is it the case that single father households do just as good as if two parents is in a household, but a single mother household does not do as good? This would mean that the man can also do his duty of protecting and providing, but he can also do the woman's duty as well, which then the kids would experience the same outcomes as a two-parent household.
I challenge that statistic. I do not.
What?
I do not.
Go ahead and challenge it.
Parent households of either sex do better than two-parent households.
No one said better, Grace. No one said better.
So single dad households do better than two-parent households.
No, I didn't say that, Grace. I didn't say that.
You literally did say that. But it's okay if you want to take that back.
I'll repeat it again. I didn't say that, Grace. I have these conversations all the time. I said that single father households do just as good as two-parent households, just as good, the same, but they do better than single mother households. This would explain that the man not adhering to his duty is much, much worse than the woman not adhering to her duty, because the man can also do his duty and he can do the mother's duty, where the children would experience the same outcomes under a single father household as if it was the case that it was two parents in the home. But if it's just one parent in the home, which is raised by the mother, void of the father, you would see that, well, it is not as good. This is a demonstration, Grace. What I'm demonstrating here is to say that if we're speaking about the importance and the roles of the father's duty and the mother's duty, all of the mother's duties, men can do it themselves, right? So all of the duties the mother can do after the child is out of the womb, the father can do. But as far as the father's duties, the mothers cannot do those same duties, which is why the kids experience negative outcomes, which would show and demonstrate that the father's duties is more important, more valuable, and it is not the same weight, which it is not equal. That's the end of the debate.
And that's the debate in one sentence. Equality sounds nice, until you see what happens when one side disappears. Take the man out, the system collapses. Take the woman out, it weakens, but it keeps going. That's the difference between vital and valuable. If you want to watch the full debate for yourself, check it out on the No Fugayzee Podcast. Links in the description. If you enjoyed this reaction, make sure to hit like, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to help the channel grow. Your support really makes a difference.